pretty good sounding, real good sounding. Um, Obviously, it is a system, so I'm not gonna say it's just the DAC, right? You got the speakers going, cables, all that, everything matters. But I found it very, very rich sounding, actually. And the vocals were crazy real. It's just real locked in the center. And the imaging was just absolutely outstanding on this. Maybe you'll see this on my channel. Who knows? Maybe you'll get to see this. Anything is possible with this. I keep hearing a lot about this brand from my ultra hi-fi members, by the way. A couple of them live overseas, and they are really loving. I don't know if there's another model below this deck, more affordable.
There's plenty of models.
There is a.
Signature, and then
There's one like it's like 30 grand, I believe, in
It's
Mr.
called the Cassandra.
That one.
Cassandra's signature.
They're raving about it. A lot of my
Yeah.
my ultra hi-fi members on my site are loving it, and yeah, I got to hear it, so I understand why they're really excited about this deck. I'm actually in the process of considering another deck soon, just to rotate things, because that's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Currently running.
MSB Select 2.
Oh yeah, it's a good dock.
Yeah, so
I've had that one.
yeah, so we're looking at perhaps bringing something different and looked at Horizon, of course, from Lampensator, because that's making a splash everywhere. You know that. But this is definitely something that that is being talked about. You know, this line, this brand. I know last time we couldn't connect; it was just overwhelming.
Right.
And the room, to be honest with you, wasn't really as good as this to me. This is actually better. I thought the speakers were large and it was very little space between the big speakers in this, right? So, but this time I think this is definitely better. But you know, I never really knock anything until I hear it, and I now making a huge effort. By the way, I want the audience to hear this at understanding the challenges that you all have as exhibitors when it comes to the room.
Yeah, for sure.
You can bring $1 million worth of gear, but if your room is a porta potty outside, it's not going to sound good.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So I want the audience to hear me now that, you know, everyone here is making a huge effort at bringing quality performances, but you are dealt a difficult. If you are dealt a difficult room, there is not much you can do to save you. Essentially, all right. You can treat it. You can put curtains, sure. You can do all of these things, but you are at the mercy of the room acoustics. Not to mention the shape of the room that I have seen. Some of the shape of these rooms downstairs are cubes, horrible. So, you know,
That's my personal DAC.
this one.
Yeah, so I've had the opportunity to listen to that DAC for a couple of months. And
Are you the designer or are you the
so
importer?
I'm actually the importer.
Importer.
For various Cerat,
Oh, great.
Wilson,
Okay.
Acoustic. So that is my personal one. I've had over 100 DACs.
Oh, great.
That is the most analog sounding DAC I've heard when you put it with the proper streamer server.
So that's one of the key things that
Yep.
I am trying to reshape, if that makes sense, when it comes to digital playback. Now that I own a Kronos turntable, I really have a comparison when it comes to music. And I'm able to pretty much identify the DNA that's within streaming services.
Right.
You still feel this digital feeling. I know a lot of brands are trying to scrub that off completely and do all kinds of nice, neat things to ultimately get us closer to much of a richer sounding streaming experience, if that makes sense, right? And I know, yeah, of course, local files are better. I know you were playing local files, and that's really the better thing. But the reality is the convenience factor of streaming will never be beaten. And most of us are unfortunately lazy to buy and download music and find albums. We don't have time for that. We got busy lifestyles. We want to look at whatever Cobus just uploaded, a new record, new remaster version of whatever, push play.
So in terms of streaming, Robert and I, and especially Robert in the last little while, we found actually the connection from the router to the server streamer. When you go optical and you use some optical modules, and then you do some modifications and you use a better glass cable and that gets rid of a lot of the grunge from the actual router. And so you're thinking the grunge is only in the streaming, but because you're plugged into the router, it actually goes into your RAM and into your hard drive.
Got it.
So that connection becomes ultimately, in terms of trying to get to a better analog place with digital, that connection becomes huge. And his grounding box that he produces himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, reducing the grunge in the system.
Right.
Ultimately, once you start to get rid of that grunge, then the digital starts to sound more analog.
I had a brief experience with TriPoint a long time ago.
Yeah, I know Miguel.
The manufacturer is maybe about an hour and a half from where I live.
Yeah.
And he brought the big boy one time with a huge heavy power cord, and I remember at that point, maybe 2 years ago. So my system was not at the level that it is today, but I heard a huge difference. Like the
Yes.
grounding was like, it almost feels as if it extracts more soul out of the music, like it goes even deeper to like.
Tell them what it really does.
It's like the layers we don't really detect them because we're used to hearing the noise, right? But when that curtain opens up, you realize there's more happening behind that we don't get to tap into.
So
Right now, the
Robert
whole
has a
system
great
is on that
analogy.
grounding box right here.
Yeah, I've heard about that, yeah, it's an interesting combination, man. I like what you've done here. It really is. This is a what?
That's the half of the Jito. That's the power supply for the Jito, and that's actually the signal side for the Jito. It's two chassis.
Got it.
Oh,
And this is what?
So this is one of Robert's smaller grounding cables.
Oh, man, oh wow, this is a grounding cable. Huh? Look at this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember Miguel bringing something similar to this. I'm not saying it's the same, but it was this girth, it was this crazy and heavy, and almost ripping the outlet from, like, it was crazy, like it was amazing.
well, they're not all like this. This is the one that I make for my sub panel.
Okay.
You know, and we brace it to the wall.
Okay,
the other
yeah,
ones,
yeah,
The
yeah.
ones are manageable. He's fooling around.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about it is the grounding makes such a huge difference, Jay. Such a huge difference. You know, and that's why when we talked on the phone the other, I said, man, you got to be grounding your stuff.
Yeah, no, I agreed.
You know,
I agreed.
and so one of these days, just try it. You know, like the reason I made mine is because I wasn't about to pay what some of these grounding boxes cost. So and then so 4 or 5 years ago, I said I'm just gonna make my own.
Yeah.
And after a while, because I have 9 systems, you know, it's like, you know, you can't be buying 9 of these $100,000 grounding boxes
No.
because you're $1 million into grounding.
Yeah.
So I made mine, and I just made mine to the extreme. I hired, you know, the best guitar manufacturer to build it, and put the craziest.
Same materials that are in the grounding box
Or in the cables.
are in the cable, and then pure silver. What is that? 6-gauge silver?
4 gauge.
4-gauge silver going through to help conduct the actual
Pure silver.
Yeah. So when we hooked up that grounding box, and then we did the optical connection. So that's when we got rid of all the grunge in the system. And when we started to get rid of all the grunge in the digital system, then you really start to hear what an MSP Select can do.
Yeah.
Or an Etica by Aries Cerat.
Yeah.
And you really start to hear how good those DACs are.
Got it.
And you start to get closer to analog, because your goal with a DAC should be to get as close to analog as you can get.
That's what I've been saying on my channel, but I get blasted because they're saying, "Oh no, digital is so superior to analog." Listen, I don't have a dog in this fight. I have both formats, and I still believe vinyl is superior. I mean, I can't lie.
I don't have vinyl, and I don't support it because it's not one of the products I import. But it is superior in terms of harmonics and resonance.
That's exactly it. It's got more colors.
Yeah.
It's more fullness. It actually exposes how digital can be thin sounding. Oftentimes.
Ultimately, everybody's trying to get rid of distortion in the system. But as a human being, if we sit in our backyard and we listen to a bird chirp or leaves rustle or any of that type of stuff, it's all distortion. So we're actually in tune to distortion.
Okay.
And so when the table distorts, it's really giving you harmonics that we're used to in life. And so that's one of the reasons tables have never completely gone away, and actually they're actually on the rise in terms of people enjoying music or a front end that's made analog. So analog, in my opinion, is going nowhere. It's not going away anytime soon. It's a great format, and if you really love digital, then you want the harmonics that analog gives you. And there's only a couple of manufacturers like that have server streamers that are at that level.
Yeah.
It's Tyco and Pink Fawn. There's only a few DAC manufacturers, MSB, DCS, World Class, Aries Cerat, world class digital, manufacturers in the world. But there's not like 50 of them.
Yeah, agreed. I have this. Yeah, and that's true. I agree with that. Well,
So, Bob, when you put the grounding box into your system, what do you get?
So first 3 days, it takes time for the box and the cables to settle. So it was a little unsettling to me, and I was like, wow, is this gonna improve?
So Bob
As it was in there for, say, a week,
Yep.
at that point, it wasn't so much that the noise floor had dropped, but I noticed the grunge had gone away.
Okay.
So the system sounded more analog. It sounded more like my digital had turned into a turntable.
Okay.
It was, you know, for me, like, I can't get a hotel room to sound good. So, like, when I'm in hotel rooms, you know, I'm
You do
here
what
to
you can.
meet people, I'm here to enjoy the experience,
Yep.
I'm here to talk to people about the products. But this system here is about 25% as good as it sounds in my house. This is my system.
I bet. Yeah.
In my house, this is actually my system.
Nice.
But whose system is it now?
It would be this young guy's system here, right?
Amazing. Great, man. Well, guys, I love what you've done here. Amazing. First time that I can say I've heard Aries Cerat, of course, with the Wilson Manege speakers. I love the synergistic effect that you have going on. And to your point, this is not even close to what's possible
Right.
because of the limitations of the room, the power. So, but I mean, I like it, man. Awesome. I can say it was great, you know, and one of the best rooms for sure I've heard.
Hey.
So, guys, stay tuned for more. Thank you for your time.